Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 138 of the High Sensitivity Podcast, and thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, we talk about video game and movie news, as well as what we watched or played over the week. My name is Barry, along with my co-hosts.
My name is Craig, and if you're wondering what came first, the chicken or the Craig, it was the chicken.
What?
What?
I'm so. Hold on.
Don't try to analyze it. Just let it happen.
Oh my god.
Just let it happen. Let
my
it marinate.
My name is also Craig. Shout outs and hellos to everybody in the United Kingdom who listens to us. Apparently.
Thank
Hello.
you.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank
you so much.
Shout out.
My problem is like I'm so distraught by Craig's weird saying there. I don't know how to transition.
I'm trying
into
new
the
things.
News. I don't know how to transition into
things.
the news.
That was wild.
So we're just going to rough cut straight into the news.
Okay.
Let's do it.
News this week, I only have one small thing, and it's the fact that James Cameron, the director for the Avatar Way of Water movie, has come out and said a couple things. One, you can go to the bathroom while watching the movie because you're going to come see it again. Something like that. And then also mentioned that if he were to ever give up the reins of directing the 6 Avatar films he apparently already has in production, he would have to be hands-on to teach the director how to do it, because apparently James Cameron is the most elite director of all time, that he doesn't believe any other director could do Avatar justice. So egotistical.
Okay. Here's my thing. I enjoyed the first Avatar when it came out. I saw it in theaters. I saw it a couple times. That was like one of the first Blu-rays I bought. I don't think it's anything spectacular. I think it's an okay movie. And like I wouldn't say I'm excited for the new Avatar, but I was reasonably like hopeful for it. But the fact that he's so insufferable just makes me want to not watch this movie. Some of the other stuff he said, like I can't remember what else he said, but like people are criticizing him. He's like saying they can get over it. All this other, he's just so insufferable. I cannot stand him, and I just like don't want to support him in any way.
Yeah, I don't know why his personality is matching some of the big scenes of his movies. It's like, don't be James Cameron about yourself is essentially what it is. But whatever. I mean, Avatar. What was that? 2010 that came out?
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
You know, and I like that movie. Like I had no issue with that movie at all, but every time I hear this man talk, it's like, all right, I don't know if I'm going to like the movie because I have a harder time liking you, is my main thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, go ahead. I was going to say, here's my question, gentlemen. You both like the movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I like The Godfather. Mm-hmm. Last time I watched The Godfather was a year and a half ago. It was probably my 19th or 20th time. When's the last time you watched Avatar?
I watched it like 5 times when I first got the Blu-ray, and I don't think I've watched it since.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Here James Cameron.
I just don't know, like, is the desire still there? Because it was like this massive thing when Avatar came out. Is that still around? Like, I don't hear anybody who's like, oh man, I'm so excited to go see the new Avatar. I just don't see it.
I don't. I remember. Do you remember there was a classification of people who could not accept reality after seeing the movie, and they were actually labeled by, I think it was the media. They were called avatars.
Mm-hmm.
Like there were people who sat in their car after the movie and like couldn't accept reality. The same thing happened with Inception. Actually, I don't know what they were nicknamed, but people were that mind blown by those movies at that time that they couldn't. They had a warped version. Inceptards. They had warped versions of reality. Man. You know,
I didn't think it was like groundbreaking. I thought it looked pretty. I don't know.
No, yeah, it broke the money records, and that's really it. Like it was good at the time. It was really good. It was really good at the time, and it's just too much time has passed to be really excited about the storyline as much.
Yeah, I think I'll watch it when it's like streaming. I'm not going to go to the theater to see it. That's for sure. Barry, you going to go to the theater?
I will be seeing Way of Water at some point. I have no clue when.
Okay.
This is gonna. I feel like this is one of these. Like again, I'm excited for this movie, but I just don't know when I'm going to see it. I still have yet to see uh, Wakanda Forever. Like there's still
Hmm.
so many other things I have to
Mhm.
see. So
Yeah.
we see what happens.
Yeah. True.
But that's
That
it
was
for
your
news. That's all I have.
okay. I have two here. First one being that obviously we're in the week of a million releases, and
Mhm.
Callisto Protocol on PC is a gigantic mess. Stuttering issues, frame rate issues, crashes. Haven't heard too many on console, but it seems like on PC it's a bit of a mess. Can't say that. I don't know. It's the director or they said something about like it was an issue with the anti cheat software. Maybe I don't know, but like again, I played it on console. I know we're all planning on playing it on console, but don't play it on PC. Maybe
Yeah.
What's
I mean,
what's the point of anti cheat if there's no? Is there? There's no
I
yeah,
online
don't
yeah.
know.
component to this game, right?
That's the
No, there
question
isn't.
right there.
Yeah. I don't know.
That is
Unless
the
it's like
million
an
dollar
anti
question.
piracy. It could be
Maybe.
that, but yeah, it's kind of interesting there. That was one. And then the other one I have is kind of like an interesting list that I wanted to go over with you guys. It's all the confirmed games that are coming to Game Pass next year. And I wanted to kind of list them off
Ooh.
and get your opinions on if one, if you're going to play it, and two, if you think it'll be a hit. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
here we go. Number one. So I'm going to need two answers from each one for both of you.
Gotcha.
Number one, Starfield. Are you going to play it? Go.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Is it going to be a hit? Go.
No. I'm
Going with
saying no.
no. Okay.
Uh, th- this one's tough for me. I'm gonna go with yes.
I think a lot of people are going to play it. That doesn't mean it's going to be good. I just think a lot of
That's
people are
my
going to
that's my
play it.
that's my issue.
Okay. Second one, Redfall.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And
No.
Oh,
Not a hit.
not a hit. Okay. That's fair.
I'm leaning. Yeah, I'm leaning medium to no. So I'm just gonna go with the no.
Okay. All right. Minecraft Legends.
No
No
and no.
No,
and no.
it's going to be a
Uh,
hit. It's Minecraft. That's fine.
No.
That's what the opinions are for. Forza Motorsport.
Yes.
no.
And yet
Yes.
Oh, so
I
you're
will be
not going
playing
to
it.
play it.
Yes, it's a hit. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Wu Long Fallen Dynasty.
Yes and yes.
Confirmed
It'll
for
be a
Game
hit.
Pass. That's a big one.
Yeah,
That
I'm
is.
gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes and yes too. There.
Okay. Stalker 2.
Yes.
Yes and
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
I'm gonna add a third yes.
Lies of P. Remember, this is like I think this is one that's kind of like Demon Souls or Dark
Yeah.
Souls.
I'll play it.
Okay. If you need to look these up too, feel free.
No, I know which one.
Okay.
I know which one this is.
Okay.
I'm gonna say yes, but I don't think
Okay.
it'll be a hit.
You don't think it'll be a hit.
I'm gonna say
Okay.
yes because of the Dark Soul aspect. I also don't think. I don't think it'll be a hit, but
Okay.
I'll play
Okay.
it.
Okay. Routine. You might have to look this one up if you don't remember.
Yeah,
it.
this one I don't know. That one's for sure.
We've seen a trailer for this, and they did confirm it for Game Pass. So look it up, see what you think.
Routine.
Routine. You might have to put in routine game in Google
I had to put in
get it to
Xbox.
come up. This is an interesting one. I'm excited for this one, but
I'm gonna say yes.
okay.
I'm not sure if it's gonna be a hit though.
Yeah, this is a tough one. It may not be.
I'm gonna I'm gonna say I want to play it, but here's
Okay.
here's what I'm gonna do. No, I'm not gonna play it, but it will be a hit.
Wow. Okay. All right. Next one. Atomic Heart.
Yes and yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes. The world is waiting for BioShock, and until then, we have Atomic Heart.
Yep.
That's what it is.
Next one. Hollow Knight Silk Song.
Oh yeah.
No,
that's a
but
yes for me.
yes. No,
Yeah,
and No, but it'll be a hit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I'm gonna say yes on me.
Warhammer 40,000 Dark Tide.
Yes and yes.
Man,
No, yes.
you both think it's going to be a hit?
I think
The
there's
Warhammer series is very popular. There are tons of people that
Okay.
still play these games today.
Okay. All right. Next one, Arc 2. Remember that's the one with Vin Diesel.
No, no and no, no and no.
The
no and
first
no
Arc,
and
first Arc was super popular though.
It was,
Yeah.
but what my biggest concern is what do you do after Arc 2 after Arc? Like what
Yeah.
makes it Arc 2 and not Arc 1.5?
I
the
mean, Vin
Overwatch
Diesel.
problem.
Vin Diesel.
Oh yes, Vin Diesel deserves a whole number
He
change
does.
to the
It's
title.
Vin Diesel.
Maybe
Come
more
on
of a
now.
story mode, but nah.
All right. Here's another one you might have to look up. Planet of Lana. I don't know if we talked about this one ever. I don't think we did. So look that
Lana,
bad boy
oh,
up.
there it is.
Yeah, Lana. Planet of Lana.
Oh, interesting.
Oh, this is right up my alley. Yes.
Yes, it is.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Maybe.
I'm gonna
Yes.
say yes, but it's not gonna be a hit. This game looks to be a much smaller game than some of the indie stuff that usually comes out.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll play it. I don't think it's gonna be a hit.
I feel like it's either going to be terrible. It's going to be those ones at the end of the year is hiding in the indie game of the year category.
I would agree.
Personally. Next one, the
Jesus Christ.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's a lot of games on Game Pass next year.
No
Is that
and no.
Okay.
Is that essentially going to be like the
Dead by
Jason
Daylight.
game and all that
Mhm.
and Dead by Daylight?
Yep.
Yes, because I live in a horror household. No, it's not going to be a hit.
Okay. All right. How about The Last Case of Benedict Fox?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
I just
Craig's all
it
over
sounds
this one.
It sounds
I
so
love it.
familiar.
Mhm.
I want it.
Ooh, this looks good too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd play this.
All right.
Oh, that's Game Pass.
See,
Play but be a hit. I don't know.
my point of me going over all this is just to point out how many games are actually going to be on Game Pass that we don't have to buy next year, and it's great.
Yeah.
All right, how about Flintlock: The Siege of Dawn? If you remember that one,
But I'm gonna have to look that up.
we definitely have. I think we talked about this one. Siege of Dawn. I feel like we talked about it on one of like the recaps of one of the gaming shows or something along those lines.
Is this like a third
It's an
person
action
over the shoulder,
RPG.
like?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's like a God of War type.
Open world
I'm-
action RPG is what they're
I'm gonna go with yes because I'm mildly interested.
okay.
But no, it'll not be a hit.
That's fair.
Because of the Game Pass aspect, which is the whole point of this, I would say yes, just because it is available for free.
Okay.
But I don't think it's going to be a hit.
Okay. And then these last four here are games that are technically already out, but they're going to come to Game Pass. So again, will you play it on your Xbox, and do you think it'll be a hit on the Xbox? So the first one, I'm going to combine the two, is on console. We are going to get Age of Empires 2 and Age of Empires 4.
No, I'm not playing them.
I hesitate on the console.
Yeah.
I would probably play it on a gaming computer, like through Game Pass though. So yes to that.
Okay. All right. Ghostwire Tokyo.
I wouldn't
Played it.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't replay
So
it.
did I, but do you think people will play it now
Oh yeah.
on
Oh.
Xbox?
Yeah.
I feel like they will. And then the last one, which kind of surprised me, but I think might already be up. I saw an ad for it. Monster Hunter Rise.
Yes.
People will play it. I will not because I've already. Yeah,
Pretty cool that it's gonna be on Game Pass though.
I agree. It is.
That
Yeah.
is.
So far, a kind of a nice little lineup of free games, free in quotations.
Now, like you didn't include Dead Space in there, or did you like know that Oh no, Dead Space
Nope.
isn't on Game Pass. Sorry,
Nope.
my bad.
You might
Well,
we
it
might
is.
get the 10-hour free trial,
Yeah.
which is more than enough time to beat that game. But yeah, that's what I got for news.
So I don't have much. I have something that I thought was funny, which was Nintendo finally, in Nintendo's words, announcing how buggy Scarlet and Violet were.
Mhm.
And it was through the patch, the 1.1
Hmm.
point 0 patch. That was a gig. And what really annoyed people is when they were announcing what it was actually fixing, it was more so directed towards the music or the lack of consistent music during the final four battles, and then other bugs shall be fixed is essentially the words that they use. When number one, a gig is not enough of a patch to fix everything that's wrong with that game.
Yep.
But come on, Nintendo, we all know what you come on. Like, come on. You think everybody is really upset about the music during the final four battle, as opposed to like all of the janky Pokemon in ground grass rising as you're moving along there? I thought that was funny and needed to be announced there. But
Yeah.
that's classic video game company fashion there,
I mean, I gave up on
announcing it
that
without.
game. I was really enjoying it, surprisingly, but it was just too much for me to take. I had to stop. I was like, this is too frustrating.
I plan on getting back to it, but as you guys will find out, I activated Demon Hours
You
this
did.
this week. So
Let it be known that when Barry puts his mind to something, he follows through
yeah,
without
so
question.
so with
Without
games this
question.
week, with games this week, because Craig is done with the news there. Games this week for anybody that hasn't finished it yet is God of War Spoilercast.
Yeah.
Um, if you want any idea what these two are talking about here, I put 30 hours into God of War in 2 days and I finished it. So it is done, and like luckily everything is still fresh, so I'm ready to talk about it. But if you are someone who did not finish God of War and does not want to be spoiled, one, I hope you guys have a nice day. Thanks for listening. You can skip to the movies slash TV shows if you want to, but I completely understand if you want to leave after the pod from here. But those who do want to listen to spoilers, stay along. We'll have a fun ride talking about it. But I just want to make sure and spend enough time for people who kind of skip through the podcast to get to our games. If you're worried about God of War spoilers, do not go past this point.
Yep.
Um, as we get further along here, it will probably, the density and the bigger spoilers that comes out will of course be a lot worse. Because we're gonna kind of go through the game as a whole and step by step here. So there's still definitely time for you to listen, find out we're talking about God of War and not be spoiled. But there's my 2 second spiel on spoilers. Don't listen if you don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah. And side note before we get started, since this was a big week for games, we'll get into those games next week. That way I can give, since Barry spent so much time on God of War, he can play Callisto, which I finished. And then that gives everybody time for Callisto, Need for Speed,
Yep.
and Midnight Suns, which all came out this week. So we can do that next week. We'll have all the opinions.
Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
then I should and then no, it's not Final Fantasy 7 is the 7th, isn't it? Or Final Fantasy
I
Reunion, or is that the
Let me
7th or
check.
13th?
I
I
will
think it's
double
the
check because
13th.
I feel like it might be coming up quick on us, huh? I
That's
don't
what
think it's this week. I think it's the following week, but I'll
yeah,
check.
that's what
I think so too.
that's what I'm afraid of.
The 13th.
13th. All right, that's next week. Good. All right, we got a little bit of time to breathe here.
Yeah, the following Tuesday. So we do have
Following
some time.
Tuesday. All
Hmm.
right. So,
All right, cool.
God of War. Before we get into all of the spoiler talk, how do you guys feel about the game as a whole, considering the entire package?
Uh, Shortest answer I can give is the game is good, but it's not game of the year. That's my opinion.
Um, in a similar short answer, the game did exactly what I wanted it to do. I highly enjoyed it. It's not game of the year, but it's definitely for me top 6 or 5 that I've
It-
played,
It's lower
I
than
would
I
say.
thought I would put it for sure, but still good.
And to put it short for me as well, God of War is fantastic,
Yep.
but I also struggle naming it like the outright game of the year here.
Yep.
So consider that what you guys will. I know some people will be like, "What are you talking about? God of War is the sanctity of all gaming." It's not, just like Elden Ring isn't. But let's go over. I guess kind of the most non-changed thing about it is probably the gameplay. Uh,
Mhm.
like overall gameplay is still the same, which I guess is kind of the main thing there. Yes, traversal is a little bit easier when it comes to now your chains of or blades of chaos can whip you around the battlefield instead of just being, I guess tied to the ground in a
Mhm.
way.
Yeah.
But overall, you primarily get to stay with the same two weapons until 66% into the game, or maybe 75, and then you
Yeah.
finally get a new weapon to play with, which is nice. I still have an issue with the control scheme. I really think that, like, I get it. Like, there are so many button shortcuts in God of War that it's hard for me to remember everything, so I end up just mashing buttons sometimes. But
Yep.
changing weapons for me, like, there needs to be a hold, like L1 and then quick select with the analog stick. Um just
You don't like
because
the D-pad?
like, my thing
Yeah.
is when I'm holding the controller, I need, like, this finger that's on L1 to, like, claw over and press
Yeah.
one of the bottom 3, which, yeah, I'm used to it, but I'll admit it's kind of uncomfortable, especially, like, if I'm trying to throw my axe, switch to my spear, throw my spear, take my sword, blah, and then call everything back and be fluid with combat as possible. But that's where I feel with the gameplay portion of things. Yes, it's more violent and I think it's like fun, but it's not anything groundbreaking from the first. And overall, I'd say I actually like God of War 2018 better than Ragnarok.
So do I.
So do I.
I think this one does a better job on seamless transitions, whereas like I could not tell a single time when it was loading. Like not once. They did a good job of hiding it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
As I mean the last game did too, but like coming off of not to get into it, but like coming off of something like a Callisto Protocol, you really appreciate when you can really pull off that the game is loading and not have you notice. Like they're masters of that for sure. But yeah, I think the controls could use a little tweaking, um, just to make it a little bit more fluid. I still think God of War 3 is the most bloody slash gory God of War by far.
Mhm.
Yes. And
This one had
you
its
know, I kind of
moments.
it did. I'm gonna mirror Barry with the control scheme, specifically the weapon changing, because I don't know. I had stupid moments where I switched to the wrong weapon multiple times just because
Yep.
either my
Yep.
finger slipped because of like the heated battle and the sweaty palms or whatever. But there was a lot of times where I ended up on the axe when I really wanted the spear, or vice versa. And you want the blades for certain moments, and the game really challenges you with status, whether being weak to fire or ice. So because of all of that, or that increase in that, at least I found some moments where you roll away and you dodge, but I looked flat-footed with my enemies because I was like trying to switch to the right thing so that I
Yeah.
can whittle down the empowered health bar that they have so that I can get to the real meat of their health. And it could have been better. I mean, they kept things that were great. I know we haven't even touched on the Atreus part of combat in
Atreus?
general.
Yeah.
Atreus, what did I say? Atreus? Oh, I'm thinking of like
Yes.
atrium. I'm thinking of the
Yep.
word atrium.
Yep.
Sorry, Atreus. Um, which he was good as the Robin to the Batman kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, but as far as the parts playing as him, I wasn't as thrilled. Barry, I kind of wanted your final take on what it was
Yeah.
like to play as Atreus, because
Yeah.
you finished.
And I know I was saying good things about it before. Atreus felt good early, but when we got later into the game, I wasn't as sold on this stuff anymore. And
Yep.
I don't know whether or not I like his weapons, his weapon upgrades just didn't seem to affect much.
No.
I just feel like enemies as Atreus are punching bags, and they just continue to take arrow after arrow after arrow after arrow, no matter if it's a sonic or runic arrow or one of my normal arrows. Like those, that's what was the most frustrating. Is I would be headshotting enemies, and it just a little bit of health, and a little bit of stagger sometimes. Like it's the rights, I guess they're called, the ones that you have to shoot them with regular arrows or hit them regularly because the runic arrows bounce off. Like they don't stagger quick enough. So a lot of
Yep.
the times I just find myself throwing arrows over and over again. And it's like I really wish like the Atreus combat was maybe felt a bit more powerful toward the last moments of you playing him, but like definitely his arrows where I definitely wanted more out of his combat like later in the game. I felt like he was fine early on. So it felt like something was wrong with like the scaling for me of Atreus.
Does it? Do you get the feeling that like they wanted to switch it up, and their way of switching it up was playing as him, but then they never really fully realized him as a playable character because they're
Yeah,
like, here's some combos, but we're not going to put much thought into it.
yeah. By the end of the game, I was just mashing R1 as
Yep.
Atreus. I like gave up on like as kind of what Barry was already talking about. I gave up on the bow and arrow completely when I was
Yep.
playing as Atreus. I just I mean, there was also a point in the game where I didn't even change from sonic to runic arrows in combat. I just stuck with one and I just kept doing that,
Yeah.
because the side aspect of the arrows and what they did not affect battle enough for me where I felt that same thing with his upgrades. He had three bows. There was a spread, a single arrow, and then whatever the third one was. And they offered very little buff, or it felt like they offered very little buff to his abilities.
Mhm.
So in that huge cupboard where you open it up and like and upgrade Atreus, I was doing like I didn't do anything since the first visit to oh my gosh.
Midgar.
Ironwood,
Yeah, no, to oh my god, I can't remember. The first
Asgard,
visit to Odin, Asgard. Thank you.
Asgard.
Asgard.
Yep.
Yeah, I could since the first visit of Asgard, I didn't touch either person's arrows. Like really, like, and I know it's less on Freya's side than it was on necessarily Atreus's side, but
Right.
um, it that part of the gameplay died really quickly for me, relatively early.
But Freya felt more useful, and you never play as her,
She was.
Mhm.
right? Like she was a
Yep.
lot more useful because she had
Oh
more
yeah.
options in combat than
Hmm.
Atreus did. She would she could turn into the bird. She would, take a lot of heat off of you in the middle of battle. It was great. They put more thought into her than they did Atreus, and he's supposed to
They
be
did.
like the most important character in this entire game.
Yeah, he's the one everything revolves around.
Right.
Yeah.
Which then I kind of want to talk about like are we good with gameplay? Like everybody kind
Hmm.
of has their gameplay stuff in there. Before we
Mhm.
get to story, I do want to talk about the cast of everything like that. Craig, you said it last week. Danielle Busidi or Basidi, she deserves something for playing as Freya.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my god.
She's fantastic.
Yep.
Was she next level? After playing this game, I don't know how she wasn't in the Game Awards, right? They didn't nominate her or
No.
No.
anything like that.
Nope.
That's wrong. Wrong.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Uh I am fully like invested in Freya's character. When you go to Vanaheim with her,
Hmm.
like and
Mhm.
that scene with her with you and her with the Needhog,
Yeah.
that that touched
Yeah.
me. Like it
Yeah.
was so well acted, so well performance capped. Like I get it, everybody loves Christopher Judge as Kratos. I don't know if he's
Eh.
ever won anything as Kratos
Eh.
before.
He's okay.
Well, like it's what everybody
Yeah.
boy and everything
Yeah.
like that.
Boy.
So it's
Boy.
that kind of thing. But Freya's voice actress deserves so much more accolades than what she's
Yeah.
getting.
Yeah.
Freya, I think, probably by far my favorite character in this game.
Hmm.
Definitely.
In Ragnarok here. So that's something to keep in mind here. I really like Richard Schiff as Odin. I like the
Yeah.
with like cast wise, I think they did a really good job. One thing I did want to say because I'm getting a lot of talk about this. Faye, Kratos' wife, is not Sophie Turner. It's Deborah Ann Wool, who also does a fantastic job.
Yep.
I can see where they look alike, though. I'll be completely honest. I see it. So, and the AT&T girl is in this. Did you guys know that?
Where is she at?
The
What part
AT&T
is she?
spokesperson is Lunda,
Okay.
the other blacksmith.
Okay.
Interesting.
Okay, that's funny. That's really funny.
Yeah, I was really
I didn't even think
surprised
of
when I
what.
saw that too.
Throod.
Thrude was a favorite.
Throod was pretty good.
I
Throod was
love
pretty
her
good as
80s
well.
rock style hair. I don't
Yes.
care what people say. Her hair was awesome. Um and like her
Throod
character
was
as
good.
well.
Thor was
And
great.
yeah,
Thor was
Anger
great. I
Boda.
mean, but he's yeah,
Angry Boda, yep.
Angry Boda.
Yeah, I think everybody did a good job. Like this game, like overall, to go in a little bit to the story, definitely tries to make you focus on the other characters as
Mhm.
well. Like every like you know who Kratos is, of course, and Atreus. We learn more about him in this game, but Brock and Sindri become more of a vital like portion to all of this in a way. They're a lot more available because they're also like side characters who go with you on your travels when it's not
Mhm.
Freya or Atreus. And I
Yeah.
think for the most part they do a pretty good job with both of those
Yeah.
characters. I definitely want to see more. And man, Sindri, hoof, Sindri,
Mhm.
Sindri, Sindri. Uh,
Ooh.
so with that being said, my final warning to everybody: spoilers for the story.
Yep.
Spoilers for the story. If you don't want to be spoiled, stop. That's all I'm gonna say. But so I know I just went on a huge tangent about the cast. What do you guys think about the story? Like, definitely try to compare it to 2018 at some points if you want to. But how do you guys feel? I'll, Craig second, Craig squared. You have the floor first.
So I didn't think that I was gonna be duped by the story, but I was. I texted Craig one, because I wasn't aware that you were into the game or whatever, or not into the game,
Yeah.
but like
You hadn't
finishing it.
beaten it at that point.
You ended up
Yeah.
beating it at that
Yep.
point. The
So
tier. Oh, go ahead.
so here's the thing, because I knew the big dupe what you were talking about the moment you said it.
Yeah.
So did
Yes.
you guys play with subtitles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was funny. I was asking my roommate about this because I caught it because subtitles were on. When everybody talks about the god tier, he has the apostrophe over the Y. But when
Mhm.
this tier talks in fake tier, it doesn't have the apostrophe over the Y.
I didn't
I
catch that.
Wow. I
I
didn't
do
catch
not
that.
know why like they did that. I think it's on purpose.
Could have been like an
They
Easter egg for you, you know?
That's what I
That's an
think
easy.
because
There it
Yeah.
is.
in the dialogue, like if they remember to put the apostrophe when people are talking about him or to him, why
Mhm.
when he talks doesn't he have that? And
Sure.
then so I didn't know what was going to happen. Like I was kind of like, oh, there's the dupe. So I don't want to say I saw it coming, but I knew kind of something was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Something was
like the
weird
whole
about
time
it.
they toyed because like the whole time as the player you're like this is tier, like when are we gonna get some tier action, when's tier gonna help with this
Yeah.
with any battle, not even just like the final like Ragnarok battle, but just any battle. And that sequence of events, while a very short 5 minute to 8 minute cutscene, like really hit home. I don't want to necessarily go on that because the question was overall what do we think of the story. I thought it progressed well. There were a couple Atreus parts that I was like, and we've talked about them before. I think Craig and I at
Yep.
least were like, we were like, why is this so long?
Yep.
And um, they were necessary. I'm not necessarily talking about Asgard Atreus parts, but like
Those
some of
were
the other
long.
ones. And yeah, but I think that Odin and Thor really didn't make it long for me because I wanted more. I wanted as much Odin Thor as possible. And by that point, you had him in the beginning. They just throw him at you literally.
Mhm.
And then you really don't see him. But I
Yeah,
kind of
for
liked
40
that back.
hours.
Yeah, yeah, I know. But and the back and forth between the two and between Thor and Atreus specifically and Odin and Atreus, different relationships overall. Like that portion was really interesting to me. I I don't mind that it revolved around Atreus. I don't mind necessarily that Kratos took a back seat while essentially Atreus was moving all of the parts either by running away like an idiot or by being that angsty teen at specific times when Kratos just wants to be a father at this point. By the way, Kratos just wants to be a father at this point.
Yep.
We are past boy. We are that you spent the whole God of War, like the last 2018 one, being like, can you just be a father, please? Can you
Yep.
just like hug him for a second? And there were multiple moments where Kratos did that in spades and was almost father of the year, at least to as close as he could be to father of the year. Long story short, it built up to a pretty nifty scene. Well, not scene, but like endings, like fight. I kind of enjoyed that. But as the story as a whole, I thought it progressed well, minus the Atreus parts, certain Atreus parts. And I enjoyed going along for the ride. And
Mhm.
like you said, Barry, it was really these side characters that brought it home for me this game. It was really their input, their portions, some of the stuff that they were saying as you were walking throughout levels with them and realms. That's who brought it home. Like I can name probably 3 or 4 people that I'm glad had these long portions with Kratos, so that you could just get a feel with them, you know? So
Yeah. Um, I think it's a good story. It's entertaining. It has that fake out, which was good. I did not see that coming. I enjoyed the ending with Ragnarok. I thought it was done very well. There's one thing that like stuck in my mind with the ending, and I think it ties into the first God of War and this one revolves so heavily around these prophecies, right? Of the like, this is what's going to happen. We need to find a way to change it or whatever. And it's the same thing in this game. And everything goes according to the prophecies until the end, obviously. And, big spoiler here is they see the prophecy that Kratos is supposed to die, right? That was like the
Hmm.
big thing that they're trying to change. But when we get to the end of the game, there was never any instance I saw of him ever being in danger of dying, ever. And it kind of threw me off a little bit because I was waiting for um I didn't believe in a million years that they're going to kill Kratos, right? Like this game does not survive by making you play as Atreus in the sequel, right? It's Kratos. So I never expected Kratos to die, but I was waiting for this scene where like he's about to die or something major and it just doesn't really happen unless I'm like misreading a situation. But there was such a
mhm.
huge emphasis on this prophecy and Atreus trying to figure out how to save his dad because that's all he's talking about and that's all his motivation for everything he's doing, and nothing ever remotely close happens to that ever. Like you get to the end and I'm playing it and I'm like, all right, here we go, this is the he's gonna fight Odin now and then this is it, this is where he's gonna almost die, and like nothing at all. And I was just
Yeah.
like, it seemed like an oversight in my opinion of like, why would they not even like tie into that? It's like they forgot about it and they're like, oh well, everything, he saves the day. I'm like, okay, that's fine. That's what we were expecting. But like, where was that fake out Kratos death that you were so heavily implying for the last 50 hours I've been playing this game? It just kind of threw me off a little bit that like, I don't want to say they overlooked it, but they just kind of like pushed it to the side. Like, that prophecy doesn't matter. It's weird.
Yeah, I have to agree with that portion of things because even as you are going along, like the notion of we're doing this because we had to, not because
Yeah.
fate said to,
Yep.
is starting to go just goes over and over again, and like especially with the Heimdall portion of things, like you keep waiting for Kratos to go back to the like to the edge to the way he
Hmm.
was before
Mhm.
before that. But after I feel like the boat ride scene at the end of Vanaheim, like he just kind of, okay, I'm good now, I'm calm, and it's just
Yeah.
like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was waiting for his moment to be okay. I'm pissed. I'm doing anything I want. I need to save my son Atreus because to be honest, that's all he cares about in this game is saving
Yep.
Atreus.
Yeah.
Um,
That's why I got the
and
spear.
That
yeah,
is literally, yeah.
That's the only reason he got the spear.
so like that kind of stuff. I was like, I did want. Here was the thing: when I was playing through the game and I was getting to the ending, I'm like, okay, like Kratos is gonna die. Am I gonna get emotional here? Because
Hmm.
like
Mm.
we've been with Kratos for over 10 years now, almost 15. and it's like, am I going to get emotional? And I really would have liked them to pull that heartstring a lot harder than what they did,
Mhm.
even if it was a fake out.
Yeah.
Even if it's something where, it's because they you see it in the murals, like Kratos is like, I guess, sitting on Atreus's lap and
Yep.
something's like coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, he's dying
Like,
in his lap.
but I guess I
But that's
guess
the
that wasn't
soul that,
him, that was Odin. I guess that's what it was, because I guess I'm piecing
yeah,
it
because he
in
took
my
the,
head now,
Yeah.
because
wow.
Odin was the one that was laying dead in his lap, but
Right.
I guess
But in the mural,
what
it has Kratos's red markings on his head, though.
yeah,
Like
so I guess
it's Kratos. It's 100%
yeah.
Kratos.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. I was thinking I
Yeah.
might have missed something in the
Nope.
mural. So, it's it's primarily like that ending, and the one thing I definitely this game needed is Baldur was such an annoying, fun villain for me, and
Mhm.
I get that they were trying to make Odin like Odin's thing in Norse mythology is he's the all-knowing father. Yes, he needs to know everything, so he's obsessed with knowing everything. That's his lore. And with that, they tried to make him not somebody who wanted to fight everybody or get war. He just wanted info. He wanted to know everything as the all-knowing father.
Mhm.
So during that final boss battle, yes, it was a magnificent boss battle, but I didn't get the satisfaction I did when I got Baldur. That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
100% for sure. Like, Baldur was that one character I was like, dude, if I don't kill him, he's going to like make our lives a living nightmare. And that's where it was a lot more fun. But Freya in the mix made it all the more fun. When she
Yeah.
brought in that noose, I was like, yes, Freya, let's
Yeah, that was
go.
sick.
It
That
Make
was
was
make
cool.
sick.
Freya the main character at this point. I don't
Yeah,
care what you do.
She is the best character in the game.
she
And
is.
but like, you know what, the heartstring, rather than Kratos dying, I don't know if it was for you guys, was like redemption. Well, Thor dying before completely redemption.
Yeah.
Like there was such a focus on Thor as and his family. Like what was it, Sif
Yeah.
and Thrud?
Mhm.
Like
Yo,
th-
Sif, I don't care. Horny bonk, hand up, horny bonk. Sif, wow, she's hot. Had to get that out. Had to get that
it was
out. Sorry.
yeah, she had a long flowing head of hair too.
She did.
But there was such a focus on that part of the family that I kind of felt sad when, Thor and Kratos were basically two fathers fighting with their kids in mind.
Yep.
And if there was a heartstring at the end in the final battles, it was when they were talked down. Thor finally really stands up to Odin and dies right in front of his wife and kid because of it. And that was like the kind of thing that hit home for me. I never really was like, "Oh, we have to kill Odin." I was more so
Right.
like, the game wants me to kill Odin. But, like, in that moment, I kinda did. I kinda really I enjoyed Thor's struggling with his demons, and
Mhm.
that part where you find him at for lack of a better term, alehouse or whatever, and Thrud has to see her father drunk in midday before going on a mission and has to deal with that and be the parent to the parent. Like there were some big moments in that family. That's why I liked Asgard, to be honest. That was the
Yeah.
majority of the reason why I liked Asgard was that portion. So if there was any, I guess the big point is if there was any heartstring at the end, it wasn't the fact that Kratos was really in any danger. you
Yeah.
know, it was just like Thor dying kind of hit me a
Yeah.
little bit.
Yeah, because you felt for him. You went
Yeah.
from like he who was just this like obnoxious, imposing presence at the very beginning of the game, and then at the end when you're fighting him, you're like, oh, this sucks. I don't really want to kill him, but I guess I
Yeah.
have to fight him. Like he's just trying to be a dad, just like Kratos is, and with a horrible father figure of his own in Odin. So yeah, I mean, he was definitely. I don't know. I did have some emotions for Thor, but yeah, the whole Odin and I don't know. I just didn't. It's not that I didn't care about Odin. It's just that last battle felt kind of empty to me.
Yeah. Also, to be honest, Heimdall was a harder battle than Odin.
Yeah.
I don't know how it
I
was for you guys.
Yep.
Heimdall was harder than Odin for me.
Yep.
I wanted Heimdall to be like a more central villain in all
Yeah.
of it.
He was
Like
great.
his cockiness, his character. I wish we got to see more of him.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, I would have so much been happier, and here's how I would have done it. I'm not the game developer. I'm not in any way better than them, but I would have so much liked in Vanaheim, maybe switch the Heimdall and Thor battle, where
Mhm.
Thor is the one that comes after you in Vanaheim before the end. You get to talk with him, have a little bit of redemption. He still dies at, in Asgard, but then
Sure.
have Heimdall be the person because he pushed your buttons. He knew how to make you pissed because he
Yeah.
Yeah.
talked down to you. He talked down to Atreus, and he's cocky is what he is, and that's I don't know that's probably how I would have done it instead. Because if
Yep.
you want that like villain battle, like because they're going for like almost a Avengers type final battle. If you want a villain you hate to like
Mhm.
be that person that like gets you into the fight, I think it would have been Heimdall for me because he was such an
Mhm.
arrogant person.
Yeah. Agreed. Have him
Yeah.
fight then and then go into the Odin battle. You'd be like all kinds of pumped up.
Yeah, exactly. Or have something where like you kill Odin and then Heimdall like is the final boss battle or something, and
That'd be
because
cool.
Yeah.
he's yeah.
That'd be cool.
So
Yeah.
it's something like that. So like talking about more of the emotional strings of things. Brock's death.
Hmm.
Um, that is especially with the whole haha gotcha moment. I was like Brock started making sense all of a sudden, and
Yeah.
I was I
Yeah.
was I was telling like my roommate who was watching me play like characters being happy. This is a death flag. Sorry, that's how this that's how
Yep.
this series works. And Brock was just getting, Brock had just learned about his soul and how he actually died in a fire years ago. So he's denied the afterlife because, Sindri was kind of in a way selfish
Mhm.
in all of
Yep.
that to deny his brother that way. So that's I think hearing that he didn't like have an afterlife, I think kind of hit more than his actual death
Yeah.
because of like, he doesn't, his body doesn't have a soul or anything like that. So it can't find its way back to the Lake of the Dead or the Lake of Fates or whatever it's called. So that that death there was meaningful. It I think it had a decent amount of impact just because Brock was definitely like during that mermaid scene and Kratos like makes him bless the spear. I was like,
Hmm.
man,
That was
Kratos,
big.
you've
Yep.
changed, and it's for the better. Like that was awesome for Brock. I felt for Brock there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
set off the decline into madness for Sindri too, which was
Yeah.
cool. I like what they did with that. Him just being mad at Atreus was great. I thought that was awesome. It's a good, because Atreus was literally just using everybody in this game, just
He was.
using and abusing everybody because in his mind everything had a purpose to, I guess, change and save his dad's life. But man, he just like every side character pretty much gets abused by Atreus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Atreus has main character syndrome. He's got anime main
I
character
mean, he's
syndrome. He's
Loki, right?
yeah.
So that makes
Yeah.
sense. He's selfish and a trickster and all that. So it made sense to me.
Oh, the Brock's death hit me when you go into the Temple of Tyr
Mhm.
and you see his like was that when you could see his bloodshot eyes? It's when he's banging on just a sword in the
Oh
Yeah.
yeah,
forge
Yep.
and he
Sindri's yeah.
Sindri.
Sindri, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Sindri. When he turns around and you see his post brother's death face is where Brock's death really hit home for me.
Yeah. He's
Because,
still like laying there on the table too at that point, I
he's
think,
still
right?
laying there on the
Yep.
table and
Yep.
and Sindri had such a wonderful contribution in terms of that we're gonna die but I'm gonna say whimsical things, like kind of like when he's accompanying Atreus or whatever. So he brings something to the table, and seeing Sindri that way, like, kind of, that's where I started to get the feels,
Yeah.
started to feel some type of way about Brock's death. Because I don't know, in my mind, Brock's kind of like that guy that you celebrate after his death because he's just the kind of, you tell funny stories about like him in his past and such like that. But seeing how it affected Sindri is what hit home for me
Yeah.
in terms of his death. That's when I got really sad.
Yeah, when it comes to that portion of things, did you guys see Sindri kind of doing that right at the end? Like retrospect, yeah, I should have seen it coming because he does that old like, okay, I'm gone, bye, and then okay, I'm back, time for the big like, oh my god moment. Did you guys see him doing that? Did you guys like were you guys surprised when he came back to smash Odin's marble?
I forgot about him, honestly. I was caught up in the moment. I forgot,
Yeah,
I've come in.
yeah.
I forgot about this injury in that moment. You obviously fight with him earlier to get to Odin,
Right.
but you know,
Eh.
I don't know. I wasn't expecting it.
Yeah, that was the same thing for me. But like so overall like I did want, and it's really hard to be honest, like to follow up 2018 in a way that's better. Like yes, it is better with Freya, who put on just such a spectacular acting performance for her. Atreus, like Kratos as well. But for me, like the villain portion of things just was not there, and that was
Yeah.
something where you know God in recent memories, God of War 3, you had Zeus, like that
Yeah.
battle was like
Yep.
worth every little bit of it. And this is the end of course, the Norse mythology
Mhm.
section, and to kill their big god as well. And Odin, I felt like I did want a little bit more out of that final battle. Of like, I'll open the floor. Is there anything else that you guys like want to mention, like in the story wise, that you could think of that either stood out to you, wish was better? Um,
I think like we had mentioned this before, but it's just the now that we're finished, it's just the lack of God of War type boss battles that aren't in this game. You just don't get them, and it's because of what you said. There just isn't those like big villains that we're so used to in a God of War game. Like you have the Thor one at the beginning, and then you have the entirety of the game, and you get. I mean, I would count like the Nidhogg as one because that was
yeah,
cool.
Nidhogg was a
Yeah.
major one. Yeah,
And then
Nidhogg
you
was one.
have like two or three at the end. But other than that, there really isn't that many. And I think that is it hurts the game a little bit, where the majority of the game is you fighting sub bosses and riding in a boat for 35 hours.
yeah. And
I
now
don't know. I
to
just needed
bring up
more in between.
Yeah, to bring up like another game, and this is just a thought that just came to mind. Like me
Mhm.
personally, I think I actually prefer like the boss battles in Forbidden West over this God of War
Okay.
game. I feel like the
Mm.
Forbidden West like battles were either really big and spectacle, like especially with that opening venomous snake fight, um,
Yeah.
big kind
Oh,
of
that's
opening
awesome.
with like with like those. Like I feel like the boss battles in Forbidden West were almost more spectacular and fun. I think in a way
Yeah.
than God of War was. Not to take it away, it's just like the reusing of those crocodiles, like two of them again, kind of thing. Like the
Yep.
crocodiles were their
Yeah.
own thing. You're right. Like I kind of
Mm.
miss. We used to get a lot of those troll enemies in combat, and I always enjoyed
Mhm.
aiming at them, getting them stunned, getting on them, smashing everybody, and then
Yep.
tearing out the Cyclops' eye. Um, but
Yeah.
it's like we
Oh
see
yeah.
those. We see like the ancient ones as well, where you have to hit them while their core's open, grab a ball and throw it at them to stun them, kind of thing.
Mhm.
Where it definitely feels like there's a little bit less, I guess, creativity in the
Yeah.
I would say
boss
so.
battle and boss design, because the crocodile ones are just okay, one's in the water, time to hit this one, okay, the other one's in the water, time to hit this one, oh great, both of them out of the water, area of effect, blades of chaos, sort of,
Yeah.
sort of wash and
Yeah.
everything like that.
Yeah, and like they did, even like the boss battles that happened. I mean, Odin had what, two forms?
Mhm.
Heimdall, I think, had three technical sections, but like one of the cool things about God of War, like specifically in the last like in the Baldur fight in the last game, Baldur fights in the last game, is you get torn up, you get thrown somewhere. They did this in the beginning with Thor, like
Yep.
Thor threw you everywhere, and you got to see a remnant of it with the frozen lightning bolt and all that other stuff. Like you got to see things like that, and it just never really went back. Like Odin, you fought in the same arena.
Mm-hmm.
There was a cut scene in between, and then it was like, oh, now Mad Odin's fighting, so let me fight Mad Odin, and that's it. And then you
Yeah.
have Thor, and then you have Thor that I've hurt, and then you have Thor that's more hurt, and that's it.
Yeah.
You have the Needhog, you have the play Heimdall fights where you couldn't hit him,
Yep.
but wasn't really a boss battle. But yeah, like you guys were saying, they recycled some older enemies, but the ancient ones weren't as formidable this round. They were
Nope.
cake.
Yep.
It's not because I played it before. The ancient ones actually were hard to bring down in God of War 2018. Here they kind of felt like just not even a general, but a lieutenant to whatever fodder you were fighting.
Yeah.
And the two Crocs, it was very simple algorithm. One got in the water. They both had different elements. So just make sure you watch what you do with each one. And you got very similar rewards for beating all of them. There were those four trolls, or not trolls, but they were like orcs. I don't know if you guys got that. There was like a what do you call it? An amulet that you can get where you banged it against your chest and they came to life. They were standing. They were situated throughout the game where there was four of them and they were like
Yep.
statuesque.
Yep.
And then you could make them come to life and fight them. That was fun for the 2 seconds that you fight them because they
Mhm.
had four of them. Not as much meat, not as
You
much God of War.
you have those what were they called? The ones that were just like energy matter, and you had to like kill the
Oh
Phantoms.
yeah,
yeah,
and you
the
had to like kill the
Phantoms.
posts in between when you
I
would
Yeah,
like
I liked
stun them.
that. I
Yeah, that
liked
was
those.
different.
I
that
thought
was
those were
puzzly.
fun.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I will say that, and I forget what they're called in the game, but the ones where you have to go to their graves and then you fight like the
The
named whatever.
Berserkers.
Yeah.
Berserkers
The Valkyries in the first God of War are much better than the Berserkers, in my opinion.
and harder
And
and
harder.
harder.
I
What
didn't like them.
And we didn't talk about graphics yet. The game looks incredible. It's like the
Mm-hmm.
game's downright
Oh yeah,
gorgeous.
yeah.
Yeah.
Spark of the World is by far like one of the most prettiest set pieces that
Yep.
I've seen in
Yeah.
gaming. But to add that, like I was so hyped when those two Valkyries came out of the sky.
Yeah.
I was ready I was ready to fight just because like people who fought, Sigrun in God of War 2018
Ugh.
knew what the Valkyries were
Oh my
capable of.
god.
Yep.
And
Mhm.
all like it's just like the things that I loved about 2018 just didn't make enough of an appearance, I guess, is what
Mhm.
it was. Cause
Yeah.
and lore wise, yes, it makes sense that the Valkyries are done
Mm-hmm.
after 2018 because you defeat them all. And woohoo, now they're unpoisoned with the
Now they're on
uh
your side. Yep.
yeah, now they're on
Yeah.
our side. But
Mm-hmm.
you mentioned like the whole battle with Thor about like throwing you places. Odin literally has power of the Bifrost. Like
Yeah.
it could have been one of those things where like you take him down to like 2 levels of health or something, and then he bifrosts you like Kratos out of it. Like it would have been, I think, a really cool like idea for you to be fighting in the different realms. And
Yeah.
like even Bifrost you take you back to where that frozen lightning bolt is or something like that. Like make it so I don't know, the frozen lightning bolt like it gets, I don't know how it would get uniced and then hits Odin or something from payback from Thor or something like that after his death. So it's just like there are some of these portions for me that I thought like, yeah, you could have been fighting in between the realms. And I think that would have been a lot cooler boss
That would
fight.
have been cool.
That would have been
That
really
would have been a
cool.
lot. That would have been really cool. Yeah.
It's true.
But
Yeah. Go
yeah.
ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say that's just one of the things that took it from me, and how can you come from 2018 was a good example, but like even some earlier ones like God of War 3 and such is like anytime you had to fight somebody, sometimes you knew at the beginning of God of War who all your boss battles were. Like,
Yep.
Mount Olympus was a good example, of showing they were just like, okay, well, there's everybody jumping off of Mount Olympus to jump to, to destroy Kratos. And they don't have to do that this round, but you had 3 or 4 realms that you kind of went through without anything. And the realms were great. They were all very different, and they all had their own storyline. They had their own ecosystem. They had their own issues. They had their own heroes. They had their own villains and controversy and everything. And I don't know if it's a first world problem to ask, but I kind of wanted just that basic gamer or basic gaming, which is like, just give me a boss at the end.
Yeah.
Just give me like just give me, I know you're going to do a great job because you've historically done great with bosses. Just give me a cool boss at the end. Make some up, like have like a half lore, half, our team thought of this boss. I don't care. You have enough lore in there that's true,
Hmm.
that you can just kind of do a little bit of what you would like. So that's where I was left wanting more, is the enemy types slash bosses did not match how beautifully done each realm was, you know.
You know what it feels like to me is that they almost look at the older God of Wars, and I'm talking before God of War 2018. They almost look down at them at this point, where they're like, that's not what we're not really about that anymore. Like, their stories have been phenomenal these past two games, and it's like they don't want to acknowledge the formula that got them to this point, which is exactly what you're talking about. At its core, God of War is level, boss, next level, boss, next level. Just do that. And that's what a lot of people enjoy. But I do feel like they don't like those games, and they want to like distance themselves from that and be like, no, we're a narrative driven game, which is perfectly fine because their
Uh-huh.
stories are written phenomenally. But like, yeah, I mean, that's what us as original God of War fans like in the series, was those
Mhm.
nice boss battles. And even the first God of War, like, you open with a nice boss battle against like the serpent, the water serpent, and then you go to the next level and you're right into another boss. Like, give me that, and I would have totally been like, this game is maybe game of the year, maybe. But
Mhm.
it was just too much, where not a lot was going on, that, as Barry and I have both affectionately called it, a sleepy game, where you're just like, oh my God, I'm falling asleep here. And it's not because the game sucks, it's just because nothing's happening and I'm getting bored. Yeah, it's just, you need more
Well,
of
and
something.
I think a lot of
Yeah.
it has to do with how they're, and you we talked about it in Plague Tale, where it's the forced storytelling portion of things, where you're forced to walk, you're
Yep.
forced to hear the entire line. And like, even in Schwartalheim, it opens up with this huge like river thing where you're getting caught up with what's going
Mhm.
on, and it's like, I get it. I get that we did this, but also, does the end of every level really need that like open world portion of things like that? And that's what I missed
No.
about the linearity of God of War.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
Atreus's levels are much more linear,
Mhm.
other than the
Mhm.
fact that Niflheim, I'm sorry, too much backtracking. I hated Niflheim. But
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
despite the dog, they do phenomenally with dogs, wolves in this game.
Mhm.
Regardless, like, I really enjoyed the open world level of Alfheim in that desert because it's not overwhelming to me.
Yeah.
Um, Everywhere is very easy to kind of, okay, I can go over there. There's something like in that kind of thing. Where the moment you put me in a boat, I'm one kind of have to deal with the sometimes frustrating controls of the boat.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm
Not
automatically
going,
angry when I see a boat
yes,
section. I'm like, oh my
and
God.
then it's always with the boat, okay, I need to go around the coastline and
Yep.
then go
Yeah.
into the middle. Like,
Hmm.
uh, if all of them were as small as Alfheim was, I probably would feel a lot better with the open world section tacked on at the end of every realm.
Yep.
But that's not the case. They want to go bigger. They want you to spend more time in the game, more time with their characters. I just wish that those were a little bit more squished down. Like, not every, and we say it all the time, not every game needs to be 60, 80, 100 hours.
Yes.
Um
Yeah.
10
finishing
to
God of
20 is
War in
perfect.
Yeah, finishing God of War in 32 I think was fine, but toward the end, and the only reason I finished this game in technically 2 days almost was because I had to stop doing everything. I was having fun with the game, but at some point, you reach your limit
Yep.
of stuff you want to do. At some point you're
Mhm.
always like, man, And especially like with God of War's backtracking. Like it would be different if I could go between realms easy peasy, bang bang bang, let's get this stuff out of the way. But they're constantly introducing new things to you, whether it's rifts from the Nekhog's children now feeding on rifts,
Yes.
so now you have to go find them, to green rifts toward the end of the game, and now you got to go close those. And
Yeah.
like with that, and it's the same thing. The moment I finally like saw that, okay, I can do everything in Svartalheim, I could now go back. I just thought, man, I gotta backtrack with the boat. I don't want to backtrack with the boat
With
anymore.
the
Yep.
boat.
The boat sucks.
Like
It does.
like, and Alfheim, and I've mentioned, and I mentioned to my roommate, it's a lot like the God of War, where you're on a sled. It's kind of sorry, not Gears of War. Sorry, Gears of War, like that huge desert area that
Yep.
Craig and I remember playing that.
Yep.
Like those were much bigger, but this, like, I just loved that contained form. I just so wish they weren't stuck on putting me on a boat, making me travel through these narrow waterways to each coast, and then getting lost. Like Vanaheim's a maze, a literal maze.
Yeah.
Um, and it's just that portion of things, because I get it. Like backtracking is a way of like, okay, that's right. I remember this is here. I should go do that or something like that. But for the most part, 80% of people, I'm going to say, are not going to backtrack the way you want them to backtrack. I already need to travel to Svartalheim, Alfheim. Like you have to travel to those areas again due to story reasons.
Yeah.
Why can't,
Yeah.
like, when I come back 10 hours later, I can do everything in that level and then shelve that level? I don't need to go back
Yep.
there anymore unless I
Yep.
want to. Like that would feel better than getting into the 30th hour of the game, finally able to do everything, and then looking at all of the completion numbers that of course the game has, and then
Yep.
says, crap, like Vanaheim, I still got more than 50% to do, and I just want to continue the story. I
Yeah.
don't want to spend another 3 hours in Vanaheim on a boat.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
if you don't get what I'm trying to get through to you here, I don't want the boat. put
No.
Yeah.
No more
put me on
boat.
anything
No
other
more
than the
boat.
boat.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Put
to that end, you get the spear way too late,
Yep.
because then the
I
spear
didn't
is
even
another
use it.
thing.
I didn't even use it because
I
at that point I was like,
I loved it. I
my
did love the
axe and my
spear.
my
I like the
axe and
spear.
blade of chaos were so leveled up that when I
Yeah.
got the spear, I was like, I don't even want to take the time to try and level this up, because I had gone through and did every single attack on the blade so I could get that end like
Spark, yeah.
spark for every single one, and almost every single one for the blades of chaos. I was like, I don't want to do this with the spear too. I'm like
Yep.
2 hours away from the ending. I'm not doing it,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
like,
not doing.
so I just didn't use it. I used it only when I had to. And it's fun to use, but I was just like, I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
care. Like it's way too late. You should have given this to me 20 hours ago. This is insane. And like to your point with like the maze of like the boat sections and all that, going that, and like not to get into it, but like the beauty and simplicity of a game like Callisto Protocol, where it is a straight path with side stuff that'll get you extras and credit or whatever. It's like, in my mind, that is so beautiful to give me that concise story, and I can just go and I don't have to backtrack ever. Not one time do
Yeah.
I have to backtrack in that game. And here, God of War is like, I looked at those pause screen numbers of completions, and I literally looked at some of them and I'm like, I'm never doing that. I don't care enough to go back and do that, because it's like, oh, guess what? You missed 3 chests. I'm not going to go around that whole big area in my boat to try to find 3 chests. You're out of your mind.
Yes.
Absolutely
Seriously.
not.
And they also want you to find them. Like, it'd be
Yeah,
different too if
no.
at the end of the game you could purchase treasure maps to show you
Yes.
everything you missed. I
Yep.
wouldn't feel as bad if that was the case. But it's not. It's
Yeah.
it's,
It's not the
oh,
case.
this area is undiscovered. You need to go to whichever area you can't remember going to, because the last time you were in Svartalheim was 15 hours ago.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're stuck there. So I know it sounds like we're complaining about the game, and it's because it's easier to harp on the negatives rather
Right.
than the positives um, of this game. But like, that doesn't take away from the fact that there's not many games like other than probably like The Last of Us, which I also did this with. There's not a lot of games I could sit through and play 30 hours of and
Yeah.
still like not hate my time with it. I did not hate my time with God of War. It is fun. It is
It
written
is.
it is written so well with characters that I don't think I'll ever forget.
Yeah.
And acting performances with that. It's just like the story I guess I enjoyed. I just wish the other parts of the game didn't feel so either bloated and I'll use bloated as the word there, not anything else.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where you're at the 30th hour, you're ready to go, and you just see everything, and like all I could do was sigh, because it's like
Yep. That last open
you're
world section.
yeah,
Hmm. Oh my god.
and I get it. I get what they're trying to do there.
Oh
They
my
want you to come
god.
back and play this game.
It
They
was too
really want you
much.
to come back and play it, but that's 20% of the people who buy your game are going to do that. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's why not just dump everything to me at the last air like after the ending. Like, oh, there's a new
Yeah.
area to explore. Okay. Whoever wants to do that go ahead. Like go ahead and
Yeah.
do that instead of overwhelming you cuz like you were absolutely right. Like I got to that section and I looked at my roommate and I'm like, how long is this going to take me? And he tells me and I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
doing this. I I
It's like
can't.
10 to
Yeah.
20 hours in there.
Yeah.
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 I
You just
Yeah.
can't
mentioned
do this
20%. That was
anymore.
20% of the game.
Yeah.
That was 20% of the game. Like
Yeah.
I told you guys last week, I wanted to finish God of War last week. I had 7 hours on Sunday where I was just video games and me. And I got to that section and I stupidly did it, or
Mm-hmm.
like the majority of it. And it took 7 to 8.5 hours to do that whole freaking section. That's insane.
All on side stuff. That doesn't matter.
All on side stuff.
I guess like there's a point where I was enabled to turn a switch in my mind where I can take games like this now and be like, I spent 60 hours with you. I am perfectly fine taking you and putting you on my shelf over here, not 100%ed. And will I come back to you ever? Probably not, but I might. But if I don't, it's not going to bother me. And I know that's hard for a lot of people because they look at those games. And the last God of War, I 100%ed because I couldn't. I was like, I have to do all that. But it wasn't this bad. It wasn't this overwhelmingly like, it was like I beat the game and I was like, all right, I'm missing like 20. Were they Ravens then that you were hitting?
Yeah, yeah.
They're
No,
still
and it's
Yeah.
Ravens in
yeah.
this game too. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Ravens.
And I was
Yeah.
like, all right, I'm missing like 20 Ravens, a couple chests, and there's some like side bosses I didn't beat. And it took me, I want to say, another like 8 to 10 hours to 100% the game. And that was fine. Like, I was more than willing to do that. But this one, I'm like, I put 60 hours into this game. And looking at what I have left, I probably have another 20 to 100% it. I am not doing that. Nope.
No.
Never. Let me
No,
know
you're
if something cool
officially
happens at 100% because I'm not doing it.
yeah, you're officially a Ubisoft game by that point.
Like, yeah.
Thank you.
No, yeah, you're Assassin's Creed Valhalla at
Yeah.
that point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's it's a lot of that. But
I
are
know.
there any closing stuff you guys want to get to before I get to I guess my closing stuff of God of War?
I want every game to take note of how God of War transitions
Mm-hmm.
and how they do their what, for lack of a better term, cinematography. Because I will watch the worst video game story ever if you have transitions that way. I know not everybody has the team, but this is actually one of the points that I forgot to say. But closing statement on God of War: great game, worth every penny that I spent on it. Not game of the year.
Mm-hmm.
I'll probably say in a 7-day week, I'll probably say 5 out of those 7 days that I liked 2018's God of War more. Kratos is father of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Freya is character of the year,
Okay.
or one of them saying it.
All right. Closing statement for me is I feel like out of all of us, I've probably hit on it the hardest as far as like the downfalls of this game. But please, everybody go play it. Like, it's worth the time and money to play this game. It may sound like I hated it. I didn't hate it. 100% go play it. It's worth it.
Yeah, and like for the most part, my closing arguments for God of War are still the same. I tend to agree with the meta score that we get from the user basis
Hmm.
on this game. This game is a good 8-9. Is it a 10? Is it the hundreds that it's getting everywhere? I personally don't think so, because God of War became what I was afraid of with other games. It became very bloated. It becomes very, yeah, explore and spend 20 hours in here to 100% this game sort of thing, It's spend 20 hours in each realm in order to do so. But
Yep.
it's a phenomenal game. The story itself is enough. Like
Mhm.
like this is one of those games, play it on whatever difficulty you want. If you don't want to have to worry about all the things we did, play it on give me story mode.
Yeah.
There is no harm in just playing give me story mode, just because, as Craig mentioned, the characters are what I love about this series here. Kratos has shown more growth than I think we see in an entire human's lifetime, especially in today's age.
Yep.
uh
Hmm.
and we see Atreus grow, we see Freya grow so much, and it's like those characters that you care about get their time to shine. And like written story wise, God of War like is a masterpiece at its story, but everything else becomes so bloated that it begins to creep into what, like, a I'm not sure even how to use this analogy here. It feels like a solid gold coin of a story, and then the rust and stuff starts to get into the edges of it,
Hmm.
and it takes away the value of that solid gold coin, or that solid gold that you have, that because of that rust, the bloatedness that this game is.
Bloated rust.
There you
I
go.
hope that analogy worked. I think it did.
I liked it. I, I can't talk about analogies though. Mine are always terrible.
But yeah, God, I love God of War. That doesn't change that fact, and the way it's sold, I think a lot of people love it too.
Mhm.
With that, movies and TV shows. Anything you guys watched this week? I didn't.
Yes.
I watched God of War, the 30-hour film.
I got one. I
I got
finished
one.
Wednesday.
Oh, then I got two. I finished
Okay.
Wednesday too. I
What did
forgot.
you watch besides Wednesday?
I watched Spirited.
Okay. Ooh, give me that.
Okay. When you sign up and say that I'm going to watch a film starring Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, you're going to get what what you signed up for. I mean, it's a nice back and forth between those two. I will watch any of their movies with them in its solo. They've had enough of a comedic impact where one person on the bill is enough for me to go to the show.
Hmm.
What I did like about the entire thing, and it may have sounded like I said didn't, but it is did, is what they brought to the musical aspect. I'm not used to either one. I know that Will Ferrell can carry a tune. I didn't necessarily know Ryan Reynolds could, to be honest.
And
Um,
Octavia, she can carry a tune.
oh, I knew for some reason I knew Octavia could carry a tune, or I
Yeah.
believed she could. Maybe in my heart
Yeah.
of hearts, I think she could do anything. That's what it is. But but they the songs were fine. They're not gonna stand out in my mind like Chicago tunes or Rent or like any of the big guys like Burlesque or any of the big ones. I'm not gonna hum all of them or maybe download the soundtrack as quick as I did those, but they did fit the movie. It was a very adult musical with
Yes.
a hint of Christmas. I don't know if they even though the movie was about the ghosts of Christmas, present, past, and future, and they had a really interesting take. It reminded me of like the back scenes of Cabin in the Woods, where you find out that there's somebody actually behind the scenes orchestrating things that are normally perceived as reality. Well, not reality, but like the fact that there was a whole team dedicated to trying to turn people around with these Ghosts of Christmas Past, and they had stagehands and they had scenes that they were basically bringing these people they were trying to convert into, was a nice change. And again, going back to the actual tunes, the music was fine, but it wasn't the most amazing thing. But I think overall, it's a great musical. I think there was enough comedy in there, and I'd watch it again. I just wish it was a little bit more Christmassy. Like I feel like they sprinkled Christmas in and they used the word Christmas, but I don't think there was enough Christmas in terms of the scenes themselves.
It's
Great.
it's Scrooge though. Can't get more
It is
Christmas
Scrooge.
than Scrooge.
And that's the thing. Like, that's the thing. They were doing it in flashbacks and in scenes and settings, but I didn't feel as much of, like, maybe it's because they weren't shoving it down the throat like most scenes do. They didn't have like a tree on every corner and weren't saying the word Christmas every 3 to 4 sentences. Maybe that's particularly why.
That's
But
fair.
other than that, I mean, I think it's great. I would recommend it to anybody who's trying to have like loved one watching it with. I don't know if you can bring, I don't know if it's a kid thing. There's a couple
My
of
kid watched it. She loves it.
okay. Great, great. I wasn't like necessarily focused on seeing if it was like Shrek level where you could like
Oh
have kids
yeah.
watch it, you know, but it's great. And I say watch it, especially, I mean, we're in December. Do it. Watch it
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. I think like for me it's gonna end up being in my rotation every year for Christmas.
Mm.
I really enjoyed
Yeah,
it.
I think it's a much more fresh take on like a Christmas story where like we're kind of used to the whole like okay, what a Christmas movie is, especially like if you're a Hallmark person, good for
Right.
you, but
Mhm.
holy hell.
They're the
Um
worst.
those okay, they're not the worst, but they're predictable is what I'll say.
The cookie cutter.
Yeah, they
Yeah, they're
are.
very cookie cutter, they're very simple, but I don't know why people love them. Regardless, um Spirited is one of those movies that like is original enough of an idea for me where I respect the portion of it where it's like, okay, like this is a Christmas movie, but it doesn't harp on Christmas, Santa Claus,
Right.
love, and all that stuff. Like it's something different for me in which my mind is like, you know what, this you could almost watch this at any time of the year, if you
Yeah.
really wanted to.
You're right.
Thank you, Barry. You essentially made the point I was trying to make, but was rambling on like making. So thank you so much for putting. That's what it is. It doesn't ram it down your throat. You can watch it any time of year. It's a great movie. And to mirror what you said, Craig, it'll probably work its way into my at least Christmas rotation. But I feel like
Right.
I could watch that movie in July
Oh yeah, for
randomly.
sure. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
the cool thing about it too.
Yeah.
Thank you
Uh
so much, Barry. I
Happiness,
was,
sunshine, love, care.
oh, wait. That's a perfect transition into the complete opposite in Wednesday.
yeah.
Um here's okay. I forget the name of the actress who's playing Wednesday. I could look it up, but
Oh, so
anyways.
Here, no, make your
not
point. I'll
Richie.
look it up. I'll look it up.
Yeah. She's like blowing up now. Everybody loves her now, and rightfully so because she
Mhm.
did a phenomenal job as Wednesday. I'm going to go out here and say that like I had this show saved. Go ahead,
Jenny
Scott.
Ortega.
Jenny Ortega. I had this saved in my list as like I'll check that out. Did not expect to like this show as much as I did. Dude, this show is great. The
It's a
story
great show.
I thought it was awesome.
Mhm.
The picks for who's acting who is awesome.
Mhm.
Catherine Zeta-Jones and all those, oh man, they're all so great. I like the idea of not just going the same Adams family route and being like, here's Wednesday with her family and all that, like letting her be on her own in a school and figure out this mystery. Um, did not I did not see who was going to be like the main person in charge coming. Caught me off guard.
Yeah,
Did not
same
see
here.
it. But I was so pleasantly surprised with how well written this is because, in my opinion, Tim Burton has not put out the greatest stuff in the past 10 to 20 years. I feel like it's kind of gone downhill for me a little bit. But man, this is phenomenal. I'm gonna say it's phenomenal. Phenomenally well done.
I'll put the P on there too.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was great. It was a classic whodunit in essentially which like what we spoke about last week is a darker Harry Potter type of
Mhm.
school, kind of thing. That's where a lot of people I think can really relate to it is there's that aspect as well. Um Wonderfully casted.
Yep.
Um, there's a couple of people I don't want to ruin, but you do get a really interesting Uncle Fester that pops
Yes.
in at some point, which I was like, is that? Oh my God, it is him.
Yep.
So, but it really kept the drama and who's doing what going. There was enough kind of gore and deaths in it to keep you going as well, where you're like, how is this town not really jumping more so on this? Like,
Right? So many
um
people are dying.
so many people are dying, and the monsters were cool. Like the monster that was doing the killing,
Yes.
the majority of the killing was
Looks a little
a
weird.
really looks a little weird,
Yeah.
which had me trying to figure out because we knew, and this doesn't ruin anything for anybody who hasn't seen it, but we were trying to figure out who the monster was in human form. So
Mm-hmm.
my wife and I were having this like bone face structure debate on who actually, if you elongated their face, was the creature. And we had a
Okay.
couple of people we thought it was, and it wasn't.
They do a good job
Um,
of like giving you like 6 to 8 people that you're like, it could be them, but I
yeah,
don't know. And I kept going back and forth. I'm like, it's totally this person. And then the next
yep,
episode, I'd be like, hold on. It's this person over here now. I'm 100% sure. And then I was like,
it's
I
Clue.
was wrong. Yeah.
It's Clue. It's like
Yep.
you
Yep.
think it's Colonel Mustard, and then
Yep.
it's a fresh take on it. I know a lot of people, including myself and Craig, are already excited for a season 2 with that.
Yes.
What a nice breath of fresh air into this just the general Adams family as a whole. And to agree with you, Craig, it was nice that it did focus on Wednesday, but not Wednesday living at home with her family.
Right.
You know, we didn't get Adams family with like Wednesday having 60% of the scenes. Like they were in enough,
Like
but
2
they weren't in a
episodes,
lot.
really. Yeah.
Yeah, they had a parents weekend episode where they went up and visited her.
Yep.
But everybody should take a peek. Doesn't matter what time of year. It's
Yep.
great. We watched it in like full bright daylight. You don't necessarily need to have the ambience for this type of game,
Right.
for this type of of series. But I'm going to use the P word too. Phenomenal.
Yes. I like it.
All right, well, that's going to be it for this week's podcast. Thank you guys for listening, watching. Please make sure to review it on your podcast listening platform of choice, and make sure you share it with anybody you think that might like it. Again, we just got our Spotify Wrapped results, and we can't thank everybody enough for the support that we've been getting. It is really nice to see that we're continuing to grow year after year, and that's
Mm-hmm.
all we can ever ask for any of this, is that people like hearing us, I guess, talk. Um, if any of those people are interested, you could reach out to us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. We also have an email at highsensitivitypodcast@gmail.com if you're interested in getting a hold of us. With that, I bid everyone a farewell. Hopefully everybody's having a joyous start to their holidays. And let's get games done now. Now that
Yeah.
it's slowed down, let's get some
Yeah,
games
yeah.
done, guys.
Let's
Let's
get
do it.
games done.
We'll see you guys
Okay.
next week. Bye.
See ya.